What's up, everyone? Jared Sandler here with you for today's spring training update. Let's start with the game. The Rangers lost to the Cubs. I think it was 9-0. I don't final scores and Cactus League games. Let's see. I can check. 9-0 was the final. As I've said, probably every single episode here in spring training, as I'll continue to say, spring training results don't really mean a whole lot to me. I'm seeing a lot of people freak out because Nate Lowe has struggled and Ronald Guzman's playing well, but I just I can't bring myself to put a lot of stock in that. There are observations to be made, and obviously the results impact that, but I'm not going to just barely more than a week into Cactus League games say that someone should or shouldn't make the team because of his performance or someone else's performance. That's just silly. But from today's game, a couple of things I want to bring up. Kohei Arihara, 3 innings, he gave up 1 run. I don't know. He didn't strike anyone out, and I don't know what his strikeout numbers are going to be in the regular season. He was never a big strikeout guy in Japan, but in Japan, they're very contact driven. So, the idea of striking out in Japan as a hitter is not as well received or as tolerated as it is here. You got a lot of guys who just all they want to do is put it in play. They don't care if it's a weak ground ball. So you're obviously going to face a different type of aggression with the hitters here in the majors. And so maybe he does strike more guys out. But that is going to be something that I'm interested to follow when the real games start. What are his strikeout numbers? And if the Rangers defensively behind him can play at a level to support a guy who doesn't strike a whole lot of guys out. I did think he pitched much better today than he did against the White Sox, was hitting his spots. And, that was definitely encouraging. Fernández Ozuna pitched. He gave up a run in his 1 inning. Not really reading too much into the results, and I'm bringing him up simply to give you a name to follow. Someone who won't make the club out of camp, someone who might not pitch in the majors this year, and if he doesn't, that shouldn't be a surprise at all. He's barely pitched professionally, period. He was an infielder. He's not a big guy. He's like 5'8", 5'9", throws near 100, trying to figure things out on the mound. But a lot of people have been really impressed with him. He's a name worth following. People always ask about surprises and guys people aren't talking about. Well, Fernández Ozuna is a guy someone or some people will be talking about eventually, maybe not talking about as much right now. Probably more of a candidate for the bullpen in 2022, but maybe he's a guy who climbs a lot of levels and makes it late in the season here in 2021. He'll get more time in big league camp. It's just going to be fun to watch him throw on the mound. All right, so what I really want to get to today, we got some updates. Tyler Phillips and Joe Gatto yesterday, Sunday, were optioned to Round Rock. That's a procedural move because there is no minor league camp. They're going to remain in big league camp. The reason the Rangers did that is because with each of those guys, the coaching staff and maybe the front office felt like perhaps each guy was pressing to try and make the team, even though the odds of Joe Gatto and Tyler Phillips making the team were slim. And so the Rangers made that move just to let those guys know, hey, let's just get this out of the way. You're not making the team. Don't want you guys pressing. Let's use the next few weeks just to develop and prepare you for the 2021 year, which might ultimately result in you being a Texas Ranger at the big league level, but it won't start there. So don't have that in your mind every time you take the mound. Speaking of the mound, the other day, Chris Woodward discussed roster construction. And there have been a couple thoughts with the pitching staff floated out there. One, 6-man rotation. The other, maybe a guy or I guess a pairing or maybe a few pairings who will piggyback off of one another. If you're not familiar with the piggyback term, that's the idea that you have a starter who goes 3 to 4 innings and then a reliever who's scheduled to come in after who will go, maybe 3 innings, and together they will combine to give you a starter's workload. What Chris Woodward said, and it makes total sense, is they kind of have to pick one or the other. You can't really have a 6-man and a piggyback because then you're going to have a depleted bullpen pretty much every stretch of 2 series or more consecutively without an off day. It's likely the Rangers are going to elect to go with the piggyback setup more than the 6-man rotation setup. So I don't know to whom that all applies. Obviously Kyle Gibson, I don't think. Jordan Lyles, I don't think. Mike Fultonevich, I don't think are going to be a part of any sort of a piggyback. And Kohei Arihara, I don't think will either. as long as the results allow for that. So those are 4 guys who I think are in the rotation. By the way, Mike Fultonevich yesterday looked really good in his 2 scoreless innings. Don't care so much about the 2 scoreless. What I care about, 97 on the gun. It looks like the velocity is back. That's a big sigh of relief for the Rangers. And talking to Mike yesterday on Rangers Hot Stove after the game, that was a sigh of relief for him as well, that he could get out to the game mound and put together the type of velocity that he had done a couple years ago that he didn't have last year, which raised a lot of red flags. So who's that 5th guy going to be, or who are the pairing that are going to make up that 5th spot? Kyle Cody, Dane Dunning, Joe Palumbo, Wes Benjamin are some names to consider. My guess is all 4 of those guys won't make the opening day roster. 3 of them can. 2 a part of the piggyback, and 1 just maybe as the long reliever. You're going to need a long reliever for the other days in the rotation. So who's the odd man out? Wes Benjamin, Joe Palumbo are lefties. Dane Dunning, Kyle Cody are righties. So you got 2 and 2 there. I think right now with Kyle Cody's 2020, he's likely going to be on the big league roster. Joe Palumbo's a guy to me who's got to earn it. He's dealt with injuries. He's had some bad breaks, but he's got to earn his spot. Wes Benjamin is a guy who maybe fits better as a long reliever, but a long reliever can be a part of a piggyback. I think that using him in 2 to 3 inning bursts is where he can be really successful. And then Dane Dunning, I think, is the guy that will impact who makes the opening day roster, because I think if Dane Dunning shows that he's ready, he's going to be a major leaguer. I mean, he's one of the top prospects in the system. He made his debut last year. There's really not much that you need to wait around for if he's ready. So I don't know that Dane Dunning's in a competition with others as much as he's in a competition with himself, and whether or not he is ready to take on a big league workload for the start of the season on until the end. Because I think with a guy like Dane Dunning, similar to what the Rangers president of baseball ops John Daniels said about Leody Taveras, is that when they get up there, the goal is for them to stay and not have to go down. So whether that's on opening day or shortly thereafter, I think that's the plan of attack. Right now, I would say Dane Dunning has the edge to be on the opening day roster, but I think those 4 guys, you're going to draw from 3 of them to maybe make up the piggyback spot for the 5th spot in the rotation, plus the 3rd guy being the long reliever, and they can be interchangeable. And I think at the end of the day, we're talking about this opening day. There's going to be a shuttle going between Round Rock and Arlington and Frisco and Arlington, and maybe in the month of April, minor league camp, maybe Arizona to Arlington. A lot of guys who are optionable, guys who have that flexibility. I think the Rangers are going to take advantage of it. Finally, one note from today, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa shared with us that his big offseason workout was swinging an axe up against wood, against tree limbs. His dad's a tree trimmer. He brought some wood home. This is not totally out of the ordinary. This is not like the most out in left field training technique. But what's interesting is the reason is he did it is because he felt like the distribution of the axe with all the weight on the end, it forces him to really work on staying calm until the point of explosion and getting his hands through the zone and exploding against the wood. Just like, you want to get your hands through the zone and really explode the barrel up on the baseball to really have the power that Izzy's trying to achieve. He's not trying to be a 40 home run hitter, but he said that last year he felt like he had fake power, that he was able to demonstrate it, but practically it didn't translate to the game. He said a lot of it was up here. He wanted to show more power, but he felt like this was a better way to maybe do that. Also, he's going to go with an axe handle, which does mimic the handle of a proper axe, but the axe handle is a handle that has become more common the last 3 years in Major League Baseball. The people who use it feel like the structure of the handle and the way it impacts their hands promotes more fly balls as opposed to just beating the ball on the ground and creating easy outs. So some interesting thoughts there from Izzy earlier today. There you go. That's our spring training update for Monday, March 8th. Talk to you guys later.